Hey, what's up? This is Ryan Haslam with UnitedMasters, and this is episode 10 of The Dan Show.
Ryan, what's going on?
What's up, brother?
Not much. Just trying to stay as consistent as possible with this podcast, and I am so happy that you could come on and grace us with this episode. Like the last few guests we've had, I haven't seen a lot of these folks in years.
Yeah.
And I have not seen you probably since high school. And if I have seen you, it might be once at the Gathering Spot and once at 8-3C.
Some shit like
that.
Yeah.
A few years ago. But it's always just been like, oh, damn, bro, what's up? Boom, boom, boom. And
Yeah.
So I think it's so cool that I get to reconnect with people and like get to hang out and just, because like if we weren't having the mics on and all this, we would just be here talking, catching up anyway. So this is super cool. I know Ryan from middle school. Shout out to Inman Middle School, which is now Inman Elementary School.
What?
Yeah.
Wait. What?
So Inman Middle School turned to elementary.
Hold up, man.
Grady High is Midtown High.
Yeah,
The middle school now is the old Howard building. That's where Inman. That's where the middle school is now, and Inman is elementary school.
Elementary
Wow.
school.
Yeah.
Is Inman elementary?
It might not be yet, but that's what the new plans are.
Wow.
So yes,
Wow.
that makes how old does that make you feel, there, pal?
Pretty old.
You know they did the same thing with Sutton.
Yeah.
Sutton's in the old North Atlanta building.
Yeah,
That's
they're
been-
having
that's
to
been
re-
wild.
They're having to rewrite. I mean, the city's growing.
Yeah, and North Atlanta is on West Paces Ferry now, right?
It's the old IBM
building.
Yeah.
Looks
It's
like
it's
college.
massive.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to my nephew.
No,
who just
no
graduated.
other high school looks like
No,
that's how North Atlanta is.
It's crazy. That shit's crazy.
Well, I think they finally finished renovating now Midtown High School.
Yeah.
It looks like a completely different.
It's so
school.
nice.
So I think
Take a stroll down Charles Allen if you hadn't in a while. You'll be amazed.
a few episodes ago we said they didn't have the pencil there anymore. I feel like, but they do. They just moved it.
Yeah.
Like they have a new front entrance now.
Okay.
Yeah. So they still got the pencil out there. Shout out to the Grady High pencil.
So yeah, I met you in 6th grade. Like I was telling Joe before you pulled up, I think we were naturally drawn to each other because we were so goofy.
Just silly as hell in 6th grade.
So goofy.
Just,
And
you, Fred, Clark.
Yeah, it's just
Noah.
It was just without effort. It's like, oh yeah, I like this guy. Like I would be friends with this guy. So but then you where'd you go after?
Camp Creek.
Okay,
I
cool.
went to Camp Creek for 7th and 8th grade.
Right, and then
Westlake 9th and 10th. And then we moved to Midtown.
Right.
And then I did 11th and 12th.
you came back in 11th and 12th grade. It was funny because we was talking about this before you came. It was like of the group of folks that knew you from Inman, it was like, hey bro, like Ryan Haslam back, right? You're like, what you mean? Like, hadn't seen that face since sixth grade, so it's just like that's just like a memory. But it's like, what you mean he back? All of a sudden, bro, it was such a joy to have you at those last 2 years because
man.
you know you just always were a genuine guy, never acted funny, always just goofier than fuck. Like that's just, and me too. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, somebody else I could be crazy with, and they not like be like, oh shit, like, stay away from that guy. So just to give some background on how I know this guy, but what's probably right after high school. One thing I noticed about you, just kind of looking from the outside in via Instagram or whatever, I'm like, this guy Ryan is always doing some cool stuff, like something cool. It's always something like interesting and cool. The first cool thing I noticed after high school was you was working for LRG. Was that an internship or what was that set up?
It started off as an internship, and I went up there like this September. What was that? September 05?
Yeah.
And I moved to New York after a summer job, and I had some money. So I moved to New York because I met the East Coast marketing guy for LRG. And you probably remember, I was a huge fan of LRG.
Yeah,
I used to love LRG.
LRG was like the hot brand
it was
back
the
then.
shit.
Of the like array of many brands that
LRG was like
LRG was
shit,
like, nah, we the classy teenage wear.
Exactly.
Like,
teenage early 20s wear.
Yeah.
So continue, my bad.
So yeah, I got his car and I was like, hey man, I'm gonna come up there once I'm done with this summer job, and he gave me his car. He was like, yeah, cool. Of course, I'm 18 years old. I called him every day. I called his cell phone every day. He never picked up. But nah, I just went to New York to visit some family, and then I just like showed up at the office, and they were moving to the next block. And it was another guy, not the guy who I met, but it was like a salesperson. And I was like, hey, yo, I'm here to like start interning. I just made it up. I was like, I'm here to start interning. And he was like, all right, grab a chair.
Wow.
So showed up after no answer?
Yeah, I just no answer. I showed up and started moving, helping them move offices.
That's crazy.
And then he was like, all right, I'll see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
But talk about manifesting. You strong arm now. That's the next
beautiful.
step after manifest. That's like, oh no, I'm making this happen.
I'm going to be here.
Hey, I work here now.
Yeah, I work here now.
So that's September 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you stay working? How long were you with LRG?
I was an intern there until December 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And then they hired me to be like a marketing assistant in the New York office. And then I did that for like 2 years. And then they hired me to be the marketing manager for the New York office. And then
That's nuts.
that was in like 2000. It was right around when Obama went in office. So like
2008?
end of 08, yeah. And then I did that for a year. And then I quit and I went to go work for Pusha T and his clothing company, Play Close.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was different. Like it was working with like, it put me in music because I was working with, he was at the time, he was signed to Columbia. He was about to leave Columbia or Interscope, I can't remember. And he was going to Good Music.
Right.
This was like, I was working with him when he was in Hawaii doing the My Beautiful Twisted Dark Fantasy album, which was like a crazy experience because, you know, Kanye was in the mix and I was working with him and his manager at the time, Stephen Victor and Pusha T.
So you was on the island too?
No, I didn't go.
Oh.
I didn't go.
You was just working with him during that time.
Yeah, that was the time period where he had like just signed to Good Music, and then he did the you remember when Kanye did the VMAs with the all red, and Pusha came out. Yeah, that was like the time I was working with Pusha.
So how long did that? How long did you work with Pusha?
2 years.
Okay, cool.
Then I left there and went to Karmaloop. Y'all remember Karmaloop?
Yes,
that was,
I do remember Karmaloop.
Yep.
Man.
I was there. It was like private labels, marketing director. They bought a bunch of streetwear brands, and then I was essentially like the liaison of like Karmaloop to like the brands. So like I oversaw like their marketing departments at the companies.
Okay.
From Karmaloop.
I feel like Karmaloop was like the first resellers. Like they were the first.
They were like definitely the biggest like streetwear retailers at the time. If you lived in like St. Louis, Missouri, or like Omaha, Nebraska, and you didn't have access to like a Wish or a Linux or you know, like this type of stuff, like you would go on a Karmaloop and see what 10 Deep had and all the brands at the time, and you would buy from there.
So, what was it like? What was the transition moving from Atlanta to New York at a pretty relatively young age? I mean, as soon as you became an adult, you changed the whole scenery. What was that like compared to what it might be like now?
New York then was like a lot of like what I would consider like kind of old urban money, where like it was still very big, like a lot of money. But then as the years went on, like budgets got like smaller and smaller because we was going into like the do-it-yourself era of like social media, and like people were getting found on MySpace and shit just started to change. So like it was internet rappers start exploding, like the Kid Cudis and the Currencies.
Yeah.
And all that shit really like changed up a lot of stuff and just how things were done. But when I first got there, it was still like the era of like, it was the tail end of like $1 million videos.
Yeah.
Like it was still kind of like the old regime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it was interesting to move there in 2005 because it was still like hella money from like everywhere. But, you know, we went into the recession in 2008, and then after that, New York just became more and more like kind of dull. And then Atlanta started to, in the music side, and I was more into music at that time. I moved back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what would you say was the biggest, when you were 18, moving from Atlanta to New York, what was the biggest transition from knowing Atlanta, you know, this structure of city, and then going into like a ridiculous city like New York? What was the main thing you had to get used to?
I don't really know. Like, it's kind of hard to say because it was just moving so fast at that point. Like, I was doing so much stuff.
Yeah.
I had an internship. I worked at like a sneaker store in Harlem.
Right.
I was like assistant, like stylist. I was just doing any and everything.
Right.
You know, like I was 18.
It wasn't enough time to notice the transition.
Yeah,
you were just rolling with the punches.
Yeah. And then they hired me, and then I was able to like kind of just focus in on like just LRG once they hired me, and so I don't know, man. Shit was definitely more accessible. Like obviously Uber Eats wasn't around back then, but like you could order food at 2 a.m. You could like, cause New York is just always everything accessible.
Yes.
You could order some fucking sushi and a bottle of champagne at 3 a.m. Like
it's nuts.
15 years ago.
I've only been to New York twice.
Yeah.
Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Yeah.
And some of my funniest moments or most memorable late night just lit obliterated moments was once in Brooklyn coming back to where we were staying at, and I'm like, bro, like where can we get some food? And then like he's like, oh, like he points at what is like a corner store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what, we finna heat up some Hot Pockets? Like, nigga, I'm trying to get some food for real.
Yeah.
And bruh chefed up a homemade hot, whatever it is I ordered. Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah. And I was just blown away. I'm like, it is 3:47 a.m.
And this is the most delicious sandwich.
And it's just not possible. And the same thing in Manhattan. We stand in some high rise, I think on like 62nd Street or something like that. Or 30s. I can't remember. I might be lying. One of them numbers. And we just stumble. We just walk. And we just stumble into the first place that's open with food. Mm-hmm. And these folks brought us crepes and like, I was just like, wait, what? This is supposed to just be like some thrown together stuff because it's 3 a.m. and who cares what it looks. It's like, no. It's a whole presentation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, New York is different.
Like, their like sense of time is not really.
Yeah. 3:47 a.m. might as well just be p.m. too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can still get a lot of same stuff. I mean, COVID is a little different, obviously, but outside of that.
Have you ever been to a place called the House of Yes in Brownsville? House of Yes.
In Brownsville. You was in Brownsville?
That's near Brooklyn, right?
Brownsville is in Brooklyn, but that's a rough part of Brooklyn.
I think that's where this club is at. So it's this crazy.
You went to a club in Brownsville.
So it was when I went on my Snapchat, this is right, that's how long it was. When I went on the Snapchat, that's what the location popped up. But that's near Brownsville, right? What's another B Brooklyn, besides obviously Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, Bushwick.
Bushwick
is
actually where we were at.
Bushwick and Brownsville are two very different places.
Bushwick is actually where I was at.
I was like,
Ryan looking like.
I was like, no,
hey, stop recording. What's up with you, bro? Who you know?
Brownsville.
Nah, this club's called the House of Yes, and it's in Bushwick, and it's like a kind of like electronic, just basically like your typical club setup. But there's like acrobatics going on, like a live performance of them like coming down the linen and
it's a performance.
Yeah, you got to pull it up.
Yeah, it's like
performance arts type of
bro. That shit was crazy. Like the cover to get in, if I'm not mistaken, was like $40 or $50 too. Yeah, like it wasn't.
But it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. I was confused. I'm like,
yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's $40 to get in. I'm like,
it's not just like
who is performing?
Nah.
Right.
But then you go in and it's just like it's cool DJ vibes. The place is beautiful, and then it's just this whole acrobatic like performance the whole time.
That's crazy.
So that was a highlight. Obviously, I've only been twice, so I have my favorite moments of New York.
Yeah.
You mentioned New York being different because of COVID. What would you say is like the biggest difference in like how COVID has impacted a city like New York?
The hours of operation, like it's getting back, but like if you were there last year, like stuff was closed.
Yeah,
like stuff was, and it's different than like Atlanta too. Like Atlanta, things were open.
Right, we was fake closed last year.
Yeah. Atlanta just wasn't even faking. It was just open.
Yeah, right.
Atlanta was just open, but like New York was taking it. They took it really serious.
Yeah, epicenter.
Yeah. I mean, because it hit them like really hard. So they wasn't playing.
Yeah.
They shut it down.
And you kind of can't play with a city like that.
Yeah, everybody's kind of on top of each other. It's different, you know.
Right.
So Atlanta has more space, you know. So it's like, social distancing is more of a natural thing.
So I recently went to New Orleans for the first time. Probably by the time this comes out, I'll be coming back from it. And they were telling me that unlike other cities during shutdown, how they opened up like restaurants can deliver, or you can pick up alcohol, you can take alcohol to go, whatever. New Orleans did the opposite because their main thing is Bourbon Street and the French Quarter and all that. And he said they gave the mayor some nickname like whatever. She basically reversed the New Orleans thing during COVID, where they were locked down and the French Quarter and all that shit was closed.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get to go liquor from a place. Like basically New Orleans scaled back to a opposite version of what that city was. Because that's the only way you can shut a city like that down.
Yeah.
Because if you leave Bourbon Street and the French Quarter open, well, it's going to be 600,000 people on Bourbon Street every night. I mean, that's just what's going to happen.
That's the setup of New
Yeah,
Orleans.
right.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see how different cities, based on their setup, had to adjust to COVID. And the irony of New Orleans is that if you live down there, you're used to getting liquor at the CVS, the corner store, the eyeglass place. The food, literally, it's not even an exaggeration. Like the eyeglass place probably got a liquor section where you can.
It's nuts, man.
It's fucking absurd.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I'm not really used to like being in the States and being able to walk around on the street with a bottle of liquor and just drink. You know, like the first time I went, I was like, oh, yo, let's go into this bar. Round on me, I get everybody shots. And they like, yo, we have a bottle of Jameson right here. Just drink.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but we're on the street. Like, I'm like, it's just like another country, man.
So they went from that as the dynamic to like, oh no, you can't even get. You need to stay inside and I guess die of alcohol withdrawals. As the option that the mayor of New Orleans gave to the good people. But it's just interesting to see how, I mean, you've learned a lot during the pandemic, but how certain cities, based on their setup, have to react
for their city.
For the city, right?
Yeah.
And Atlanta kind of reacted in a way of just like, hey guys, don't do it, but if you do it, we're not going to lock you up. And it's like, okay, so do it. Is what
Atlanta did not close down. I mean, that's why I think so much is happening here right now, and we are where we are as far as crime because everybody just moved to Atlanta.
Oh, right.
Like if you were in you know, Tennessee, Alabama, like the Carolinas, Chicago. Just pull up to Atlanta,
right?
And you can carry on.
Philly,
yeah, everywhere, literally, like because a lot of places now are like, yo, you got to have your vax to come in here, like your card, like they're not playing,
right?
You know,
and in a city
like restaurants, like a restaurant.
But in a city like New York,
it's kind of necessary.
Even as ridiculous as that may seem, and there's some fair points against it, with a city like New York, what is the alternative? Because you can't just say we suggest that you do this or that this is it's like it's either do it or don't do it. Yeah, right.
So it's too many people. It's not the cleanest place. Like
right.
like you got to do what you got to do. Everywhere is going to be different. Like for real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Atlanta, for the most part, is like a clean city. It's a lot of trees. It's a lot of space. Like it kind of can clean itself in a different way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Whereas
like,
New York was already a boiling pot of virus and sickness and disease.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And grossness.
Exactly.
Right.
So like you put like this like other thing in it.
Right. It's like, ooh, shit.
It's gonna shut down.
Well, yeah. Hopefully we can get through this thing and this can be a thing of the past. But for now, you gotta act accordingly, and you gotta do what makes sense for your city or for your state and or for your individual self.
Just for yourself.
Like,
you know,
not to even get too specific, but I think that's just good advice just in general is to just
do what's best for you.
Yeah, you gotta do what's best for you and what makes the most sense truly. So you moved back here in, you said 2014?
Yeah. But I was still back and forth because I was working with a New York-based company at the time, and so I was still back and forth. But then in 2015, I started working with B. Cox, which he was based here in Atlanta at the time, and then I started working with A3C. So that put me more into Atlanta than when I first got here, you know? And then I started working with the New York company.
So how did you get linked up with A3C?
How did I get linked? So, okay, I used to work with Young Guru, the DJ and mix engineer. And me and his manager, we booked him to do some stuff at A3C back in like 2012, maybe. And like it was the first time I ever came for A3C, and I never even heard of it. But like they booked us, they paid, so we came down, and then we did a party at Sound Table, L Bar, and the Basement in East Atlanta, and I was like, yo, this is a festival, and then I met the owners, and then I just kept in contact, and we brought Guru back down here some more after that, and then when I got down here, Mike, who was the owner at the time of A3C, he was like, yo, do you want to run the conference? Do you want to be the conference director? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. That's probably what I'd say too.
I was like, yeah, man, and then so we moved it because at the time it was at the Malia Hotel or the Crown Plaza Hotel by the Varsity. So the conference was there, and then I was like, in the process of like me coming on board, we moved it to the Loudermilk Conference Center on Edgewood. Yeah. And then that's when it became like more like a conference, and we really started to take, the conference portion just as serious or eventually more serious than even the festival. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Would you say 2019 was the biggest growth for the A3C when it was down at the Coke? Yeah.
And so 2019, that was the year Paul Judge and Ryan Wilson and TK from the Gathering Spot, they bought A3C. Okay. So we did America's Mart for the conference. Yeah. But then for the festival, we didn't have a festival ground anymore. We took over multiple locations around the city. Yeah. So like we did Tabernacle and like all these other venues.
Right. But you didn't have a festival home.
No. Right. We only had a conference home. Right. And did multiple venues all around the city. And
Now-
but that was still the biggest year because like we had like Megan Thee Stallion like
Right.
that year. It was like right before she blew the fuck up. you know?
Right. And also, the year I'm thinking of is 2018 when it was
Lil Wayne.
Dipset, Lil Wayne, all that.
Yeah, that was 2018.
Right. Both years were like back to back. Like, oh
Yeah.
shit, A3C has turned
Stepped
into
up,
a huge thing because it was where is it in 2019?
It was America's Mart was the conference, but then the festival was all around the city. We
Right.
did multiple
Right.
locations.
Right, I remember that. I got to so that's when I saw you was at that A3C in 2018, and of course one of our favorite artists is
Cameron.
the great
Cameron,
and
man, Dipset.
legendary Cameron Giles.
Yeah.
And I got to see Cameron that night.
Yeah.
And man, like, talk about a fanboy. Like, I was
Yeah.
just so I'm still stoked.
Yeah,
thinking about
yeah.
it.
Nah, yeah, we used to love Dipset in high school.
Oh my
Like,
God.
we used to love
Still
Dipset.
love Dipset.
No, yeah, I still love Dipset.
Right. So shout out to Cameron for sure. But
Yeah.
that one always sticks out to me because got to see Dipset. The lineup was just nuts that whole weekend.
I mean, Wu-Tang, Dipset, and Lil Wayne.
Yeah, right.
That's nuts.
And then like an hour long, just like DJ set from Manny Fresh, like just in the between time.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you said, how long did you stay as the conference director at A3C?
6 years.
Wow.
So, I did 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then we did a digital one for 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you still with them or?
No, I left the week after A3C, the 2021. I left and I went to UnitedMasters.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about UnitedMasters.
So it's a distribution company founded by Steve Stout, and he started it back in 2017.
That's crazy. And there was another. What did you look up earlier?
The Blueprint Group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You talking about So I've worked with them on a few different projects for the last 2 years, and that's it's a company of managers. It's Cortez Bryant, Al Branch, G. Robeson, Brian Calhoun, and Gene Nelson, and they collectively managed like fucking everybody, like Just Blaze, Kanye, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Drake, G-Eazy, Trippie Redd, Lil Nas X. Like, their roster is nuts.
So you've been working with them for like the past 3 years?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
And how is that? It's cool.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Right.
Like I learned a lot from them. You know, we worked on this tech project together, like the startup, and we've been consultants for them, and just worked with a few different projects with them. But they're very knowledgeable guys.
That's super cool, man. Like, I wanted to ask you about a podcast because you've always been like a very humble person and a very down to earth person, and even like the stuff you post on social media, it don't be like, look what I'm doing or look where I'm at. It's just like, well, this is where I'm at, and I'm drinking some nice tequila or something like that. You know what I mean? It's a breath of fresh air to see somebody just not flexing when like you could flex your fucking chest. You could flex your chest muscles out if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But it's always cool to see a guy,
Just
who have
handle
done the
his
thing
business.
you've done.
Yeah.
Casually just talk about these very cool things, a lifetime worth of experience and work, and not just kind of just seem not unfazed by it. Not to say that you're just like, oh well,
Yeah.
But it's just so cool to see my peers do cool things and still be able to be humble.
Yeah.
And for you to come on was really cool.
Of course.
So enough of the what do you do for a living talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some fun stuff. outside of work, what's stuff that you like? What are your interests? What do you do for fun when you're not like working on the cool things we've been talking
Travel, and I like trying new tequilas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your current favorite tequila?
Don Julio 70's good. That's kind of like my go-to right now. And then it's some other ones that like I couldn't tell you the name of. I could show them to you. Like it was some tequilas in Mexico that I brought back when I went in July, and it was just some like crazy tequilas I brought back. I can't even tell you the name of them right now, but one of them was like it was a white añejo and aged like 5 years in like fucking cognac barrels. Like it's
wow.
like this is the smoothest fucking tequila I've ever had.
Yeah.
Where in Mexico did you go?
I went to Cabo last month.
Nice.
What's interesting about tequila to me is the most interesting spirit because there's like a story behind it. There's actual like there's nothing interesting about vodka.
No.
There's nothing interesting about like there's some stuff about
whiskey is interesting.
Whiskey and tequila probably
are the two
most interesting ones.
Yeah, because it's like they're like
a lot of different ways you can finish it.
Yeah, it's like wine. It's like people who are into wine.
You know, no one's aging vodka for 25 years, whereas like a 25-year whiskey is gonna cost you $2,000
exactly
or something like that.
Yo, I just recently tried it's not even whiskey. This is a cognac. I had Louis the 13th like 2 months ago. Not impressed.
Yeah,
just not impressed.
I'm not impressed by cognacs in general. Me working in liquor sales, I get to see how finicky and how fickle the liquor market is because it's not based on a company's sales aren't always based on a quality product. It's just marketing.
Like Casamigos is like the marketing of Casamigos was nuts.
Well, Patron is what led the forefront for tequila in the early 2000s.
Agreed.
And Patron is what made people interested in tequilas. And then you started seeing a lot more options than just Jose Cuervo and whatever.
So going back, when you was like something that was like kind of memorable about moving to New York, something that actually sticks out crazy is Patron.
Yeah.
Like Patron was everywhere. Like it was at every club.
Yeah.
Everybody was drinking Patron. Like,
and
it
they
was
got
like
the Roca Patron up there too. You ever heard of that?
No.
It's like a next level. Yeah, every tequila brand has its standard like Silver Repo and Añejo, Extra Añejo, but then they have their top tier like 1942 and all of that.
1942 is good too. Like, cause I feel like some brands are just like put on pedestals just cause.
Yeah.
But 1942 is actually really good.
Well, Don Julio is a solid brand.
Yeah, Don Julio's 70, like I was saying, is really good.
So real quick about tequila. What I love about tequila is there's three different age distinctions. There's silver, repo, añejo. Silver is the standard tequila production, which is like 3 or 4 months, or probably less than that.
Yeah.
The reposado means it's been aged for at least 8 to 11 months, and that's why it turns darker because it sits in its respective barrel longer. And añejo means it's been aged for at least 12 to 2 years, 12 to 18 months or something like that. So that's the story of silver, reposado, añejo. A lot of people who are new to tequila seem to have landed on reposado because it's just the most balanced.
It's the middle.
Best middle ground.
Añejo is expensive too. Like it's just expensive.
Añejo is expensive, and you're going to taste a lot more of the wood in the barrel. Whereas repo is a sweeter finish.
It's like you said, it's the balance that's right in between. See, but I also like bourbon, so that's another reason why I like añejo. It kind of has like that kind of,
If you like bourbon and tequila, obviously, you got to try Don Pilar Extra Añejo. I don't want to butcher it, but they finish it in 3 different barrels. One is a French oak, and then the other 2 are like whiskey barrels. So you end up getting this like fusion of tequila and whiskey.
I'm gonna show you something.
It's so good. While we're talking about Don Julio, their newest brand is the Primavera. I don't know if I sent you a thing of that, but that's the Reposado version of 1942, basically.
Really? Oh, wow.
But yeah, I love tequilas. At some point, tequila loved me more than I loved it, so I had to pump the old brakes there.
Yeah, it can get rough, man.
So it's crazy. Most liquors act as a.
Hold the picture. So.
Oh yeah, the Dobel. I was wondering if Dobel is what you were talking about because they are famous for their white anejos.
Yeah.
And the 1800 Millennial is a good one too.
Crazy.
Like I said, every brand has their top tier version of their age, extra age stuff. For me, bourbons are like most liquor is supposed to slow you down, but the older I get, the more I realize is that like white liquor is like cocaine in my system.
It's true.
And then dark liquor is like I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bar hop. I'm not trying to do whatever. I'm just trying to just melt into the
Chill
sea.
out. Yeah.
Whereas tequila, so my point is like something like a Kirk and Sweeney, which I'm not a big rum fan, but I ran out of bottles.
I drank all the Douce.
Right. If you start from episode 1 to now, you just see my whole bar collection just going away.
Just depleted.
Dominican rum.
It's a nice little one.
Rum is another, like, rum's a whole nother world too, man.
It is.
Like, if you go to, like, obviously, like, Spanish-speaking countries.
Dominican
rum.
That's what they drink, yes.
South America, like, that's a whole nother world, man.
So, yeah, with stuff like whiskey, I can only drink a little bit of it. Or there is a cap on how much whiskey I will drink in one night. It's just because my body just won't let me do it.
See, I have a high tolerance for whiskeys and bourbons, but I don't have a high tolerance for rum. I can't drink a lot of rum.
There's no cap to how much tequila I can drink.
Yeah, I can drink a lot of tequila.
If me and you had a half, like if we was kicking it all day today and we had a half gallon of tequila, me and you would drink that whole bottle by the time we depart from each other.
You were in high school, we used to drink a lot of vodka.
Yeah, and Bacardi.
Oh my
God.
I used to drink half a Powerade, you drink it, fill the other ass with Bacardi. And there was something cool about being hammered in your 9 a.m. science class.
I mean, we just drink water bottles of vodka.
Yeah.
At school.
Right.
Like,
Shout out to being a young delinquent at Grady High School. Golly, that's
like
so
water
hilarious.
bottles of vodka. That's disgusting.
Right. I can't drink vodka. It's some things, like vodka and gin are two things. When I was like 16, me and, well, I'm not going to say their names, but me and some other delinquents would get off school and we would put our $3 together and we'd buy a $12 bottle of Glenmore gin half gallon.
Oh my God.
This is the Rock Gut gin. This is what like your Uncle Pookie, the reason why your Uncle Pookie lived in the basement, grandma's basement.
Because he was
right
drinking
now.
that shit.
Right. Because he made bad life decisions. But I used to drink that, and I can't even smell gin without just remembering those days.
See, what's funny is I can drink gin, but not all the time.
Gin's making a comeback.
I can drink gin.
There's a few popular gin brands that are starting to make people more interested, and even stuff like Long Drink and these infused little canned drinks. Starting to make people gravitate towards it. So, like, I've had some gin recently that tastes decent, but I'm like, I couldn't have more than a sip or two.
You're not going to just sit around and drink gin.
No, I can't.
No, I get that.
I can't do it. So vodka's like that too.
Yeah.
I feel like
I can drink a good kettle every once in a while though. I can drink kettle.
I maybe could, but
kettle's about the only vodka I'm going to really drink.
Yeah,
it's Kettle One.
To me, I just stick with tequila and whiskey. Yeah. And I drink beer. I used to be a huge beer guy.
I don't drink a lot of beer no more either.
But now I be trying to like watch my figure, which by the way,
he put on the extra small today.
Right, I put on a wool shirt today. Ever since TJ came on, I'm like, I don't like the level of muscles that's being displayed here. I too want to look swole. Yeah, also, shout out to American Top Team, man. I've been up there, y'all, and it's been fun.
You don't want to get knocked out again.
Right, I don't want Joe to knock me out again. Check out episode 7 if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, I try to stay away from beer because like it's just so many calories. And like you be feeling the next day, you be knowing you drank a bunch of beer.
Yeah, beer. It doesn't. Yeah, like I used to love beer when I was younger too, but it's just like the after feeling of it is just not. That's why I love tequila. You gotta love tequila because if you're drinking good tequila the next day, nothing happened.
Bro,
it's like nothing happened.
I can drink a whole thing of tequila and be functional the next day. It may take me about an hour to like really
get going.
It off.
Yeah, like okay, I'm good. But like with heavier liquors, that shit be you be fucked up to about 3 or 4 or 5 p.m.
It's true, man.
And by the time you know it, it's nighttime, and you feel like a human again.
And all those mixed drinks too, man. When you people mixing,
that's what I tell people a lot.
Just drink it with ice.
The misconception is that the liquor makes you sick, and it's like, no, the juice and the soda and all that sugar.
All the syrups and stuff they put in it, like, that gives you...
That's what make you feel bad the next day. Yeah. The liquor plays a contributing factor, but it don't just be the liquor.
Yeah.
Your body can just process straight liquor much better than it can
if you put it with orange juice. Like.
And I know this isn't popular, but like don't drink Red Bull and liquor.
Oh my
Your
God.
poor heart just be begging for another host when you do that.
Yeah, man.
And I know I'm ruining a lot of people's day right now, but
Red
if you
Bull
can find
and
something different than drinking 2 liquid stimulants at once, try to do that. Because that's also why you feel bad, because you drank a 16-ounce Red Bull and you mixed it with,
Smirnoff.
whatever. Yeah, right.
So you mixed it with Smirnoff or something.
So, yeah. Joe, what you guys say? Joe, so look, we definitely ain't gonna edit that part out. Joe looks like, all right, I've been waiting for this nigga to stop talking before I can talk, and then he...
I've been listening. I've had a beer for y'all. No, man. Y'all are good. Y'all are talking about tequila and alcohol. I don't know a whole lot about tequila.
So you pump faked on the input just then.
I haven't made a peep because I don't know. I'm a good listener.
So traveling and tequila is your thing outside of work.
Yeah.
What would you say is the highlight of, like, travel-wise, what's the coolest place you've been to?
Definitely South Africa.
Okay, cool. And how long were you there?
The first time I went for a week, and then the second time I went for 2 weeks. And I stayed. The second time I went to Cape Town and Joburg, and then the first time I just went to Cape Town.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And did you do like all of, like, is it lame to say, did you go on a safari? But did you? Like,
Unfortunately, I didn't.
Okay.
Because it's like, both times I went out there, it was for work. Red Bull, South Africa, flew us out to do like lectures and shit to their music academy.
Yeah.
And so I was on their time. Like, at that point it's like talent. They're like moving you around to like music schools, and you're talking to students about like, the music business in America and shit.
Okay, so it wasn't all the way like a pleasure trip.
No, the only time I got to hang out was like after day hours, like work hours. And I would, it was still hanging out. Like I definitely hung out, but not like the safaris from like Cape Town or Johannesburg are like hours away.
Yeah,
you gotta go to those reserves.
Right.
So it's like.
It's not like the Lions is just right around the corner from the hotel.
If there was a lion in Cape Town, like they would shut this. Like there's a lion in Cape Town.
The news, like, hey, there's a lion down the street.
Yeah. So in the past 5 years, Atlanta done had a zebra, what was it a few months ago?
Some cows or something.
A leopard or some shit running around, just like, what?
We got coyotes. We got a bad coyote. Epidemic.
We got a bunch of woods. That's why.
Yeah.
We're cutting them all down.
Right.
Yeah.
And
they drink gin out there, by the way, in South Africa. Like,
gin? That's big?
Gin.
That's crazy.
It's a gin country.
That is nuts.
And it's really good gin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Maybe it's like also
girls would be drinking it like on the rocks, like gin. I'm like, this is crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Gin on the
rocks.
rocks.
Gin place, man.
So what do you think of Atlanta now in its current like climate in terms of how it's reshaping itself, and then like you mentioned earlier, the consequences of like being the premier city during a pandemic, and now we're kind of stuck with a lot of black eyes with crime and what do you think of Atlanta right now?
I mean, overall, I love Atlanta for a lot of different reasons. Like, I feel like if you want to do something in Atlanta, you can actually like figure it out, get to it, and make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that in a lot of cities. Like, I love the fact that like everybody, if you're a native of Atlanta, even if you're not, you just live here, you're a few phone calls away from getting in touch with your mayor. Like, it is not like that in other major cities. Like, you're not getting in touch with the mayor of New York like that. Like, that's not a thing. Right. But like,
you probably wouldn't want to.
You probably wouldn't want to. You probably won't want to.
He might want to get in touch with you. Okay, never mind. See what I did there? All right, go ahead. I might want to get in touch with you.
Oh my God.
Touch.
Touch.
Touching you under your skirt.
But yeah, like Atlanta, like I don't know. I feel like you can just do the things you want to do.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's not like that everywhere.
So I agree with you on that, and I want to piggyback and say that I also love this city, and I don't like how it's being represented right now. Even with the influx in crime and stuff, gentrification is and the growth of Atlanta. Let me not just say gentrification. I seem bitter when I say that, but I am a little bit. Atlanta's still growing. People are still moving here. The influx in crime ain't demotivating nobody from coming here, regardless of all the little shit I see. You like, oh, I'm sick of Atlanta. I'm moving it. It's like, no, you're not.
Like, where
you're not about to
where
move.
Where you moving?
Like, shut up.
Yeah,
not shut up, but like, do shut up. You're not about to move.
You're not going anywhere.
And it's not stopping people from moving here.
Atlanta's still like, I feel like if you're a person of color, it's still the best option. It's not perfect, but it's the best option.
It is the best option.
It's the best option if you're a person of color.
I hope that we can get to a point where Atlanta shifts back to its real identity and not this kind of mayhem that's going on now, because it's just not a reflection of what this city is. Every city has their problems, has their crime. I'm not saying like we're going to stop. Atlanta needs to stop crime 100%. Like that'll never happen. Like that'll never happen. But like
this
you
is
say,
outrageous.
We've got 6 different cities of we've inherited a lot of different surrounding cities fuckery, and that's just that's the melting pot that Atlanta is right now. And I hope we can get back on a shine, on a positive light, and not be like ATL scoop. That's
every 3 times a day.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because a lot of unfortunate things are happening, and Atlanta's just not the safest place right now. But I don't think that's our new identity. It's just like any place. You're going to have your ups and downs. Right.
That's really the issue. Is that white people are now feeling the effects of it because they've moved back into Buckhead. They've moved back into the city.
Right.
And the crime just hasn't stopped. So.
Right. And now Buckhead's the shady part of town.
Man, Buckhead is, listen, that's the worst part of the city. It's like, it's dangerous.
I don't even drive down. I won't drive down Far Road. Not that I think something happened to me, but it's like, actually, a nigga gets shot on Far Road every fucking week.
That part of Buckhead.
Yeah.
Like Far Road, like East Maces Ferry.
It's crazy.
It's bad over there.
And the irony of it is they just turned that into Mini Rodeo Drive, the shops at Buckhead.
I be paranoid inside shops at Buckhead.
Right. Atlanta be wanting to be this is what I don't like about the new makeup or the new facelift Atlanta's getting. Atlanta be trying to be a lot of things it's not and not capable of being. And then you put something like shops at Buckhead there, which is only for a small percentage group of people to go to. Yeah. This ain't no thing like Atlantic Station where everybody can go
for the
shop
masses.
there.
Like, no,
right.
It's not for the masses.
So then, you create these pockets of like exclusivity and wealth and all that, and then that ends up being the worst part of goddamn town. I bet the developers didn't see that coming when they thought to put the shops at Buckhead there. And now I'm terrified to go down Far Road. Legit.
No, Buckhead is terrible.
Like
Buckhead's
terrible. I work at a liquor store in Buckhead, and we had to hire APD last year. You know, like that. Otherwise,
Did y'all stop accepting cash?
No,
because most people.
A lot of people did, and a lot of bigger stores can. But if you're like a smaller scale store, you'll go out of business. Stop accepting cash, especially liquor. Liquor is the kind of thing where like half your business is cash that day, and then the other half is cards. Yeah. So if you all of a sudden start leaving 30% of the cash business on the table. Well, you did $8,000 that day as opposed to the 16 you're used to, or you know what I mean?
No, I get it.
You
leave something to think about.
And a lot of companies learned that the hard way last year. Yeah. I think a lot of companies going to learn the hard way about, like you said, about the New York, you have to show a vaccine to go. Yeah. A lot of companies are going to end up suffering as opposed to that, because a lot of dollars are going to be left on the table. You're going to learn what your audience of clientele is.
Some people just not going to get vaccinated. So like you're going to exclude all
you don't want their money no more. You're going to learn that the hard way. Right now, it seems like the right thing to do, but I think that's going to bite a lot of people. I think it's going to bite a lot of businesses, especially if it becomes like mandated, like you don't have a choice to do it.
I don't think it's going to. I couldn't imagine it happening in Atlanta. I know DC's the second city that they took that to, but I was in, like I said, New York. It wasn't. It's not all places. It's just like, and I feel like it's kind of like slight. I don't want to say high end, but like slightly above like just the kind of middle of the road spots.
Okay.
So like middle of the road spots, like they're just like, come in.
Just have a mask.
Yeah, just have a mask until you sit at your table.
Right.
But like the kind
Which is very
no, that's reasonable.
Like
that's
no one should have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I feel like some of the more higher end spots that I would see, like, now you gotta have your Vax card to enter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even venues, some venues,
right?
So like, you know, show venues and stuff like that. You gotta have a Vax card to get in.
There's got to be a way that you can kind of target your audience before you say, okay, I'm only going to accept folks with Vax cards, because you say, okay, well this area has a high percentage of folks who's gotten vaccinated, so I'm gonna put my business over here and requires Vax cards. It's got to be a way that you can
some type of data that they're looking at before they can just be like,
because if you're in a part of a city or a state where most of the population is unvaxxed, and then that becomes a mandated thing to do, the economy shuts down. You might as well just put a lock on your door.
Yeah, like we can. I mean, I can pretty much say like South Beach. Ain't nobody doing that shit down in Miami. Like, because, Miami's actually wilder than Atlanta, like how it's been. Like, they no masks nowhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Florida and Georgia and Texas led the pack.
Yeah. Those three states.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's crazy. Then you go certain places and it's just like everybody's wearing a mask everywhere all day.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it just depends on where you at.
Well, like I said before, hopefully we can talk about this as a thing of the past, because it certainly are some pretty strange and just eye-opening times we live in. And, it's a very a learning time too. If you didn't come out of 2020 and learn a lot about the world and yourself,
oh my God,
you might not be capable of it. You know what I'm saying? You might not be capable of learning, because that's one positive I think is a positive, is that you got to open your eyes to a lot of things, and you got to learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of.
Definitely what you're capable of. That's really, even, I know like professionally for me, like I came from the live event part of the business. Like a lot of stuff I did was live.
Yeah. And
whether it was concerts or conferences or whatever. But when the pandemic hit, it was like, but so then we had to immediately like say, all right, we got to take all this shit virtually, all of it. But then I was like, all right, cool. Like technically a conference is just information. It's just information.
Yeah.
Colleges are continuing. Mm-hmm. There's no difference.
Yeah.
So it's just like, all right, we'll have these conversations online, and it was wild because like actually like a lot of the things we were doing, we had way more eyeballs than we could ever have, you know, physically, physically a conference, you know, big room, hold, you know, 2,000 people, and they're looking at one thing. That's a big room.
Yeah.
You have that same conversation virtually, you could have 850,000.
Right, or 2 million.
Or 2 million or whatever, you know, like
but there's no cap
there's
to
no
the
cap.
room size.
There's no cap. Like Versus, you look at Versus, like that's like one of the best examples ever.
Yeah.
Like Versus, it started off like producer catalog battles. Yeah. Like Manny Fresh was doing that eight years ago.
It was like
Just Blaze
and
they've been doing that. But
right.
like it was a room of like 600 people. Right? And they weren't streaming it. They did it with this and it's 2 million streams.
Right.
You know, like those are some guys that capitalized on the pandemic.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
hell yeah.
The
they
biggest
capitalized
also,
on it. Yeah.
like, how did Triller go from the stepbrother TikTok app
the lame TikTok
to how we watch Floyd Mayweather fight now? How the fuck does that happen?
Bro, because I feel like people
and they bought they own the rights to Versus. They bought Versus. It's like what?
So I think like it's like people they just start investing in these like you know these kind of one-off streaming companies where they can you know own this content. They was like, okay, this is where it's gonna live for right now. All right, which here goes 15 million. Like people started investing in those companies.
So nuts. You could have never told me that Triller would be what it
Triller
is now.
Triller was awful for a long time.
Triller is what like basically if you didn't when TikTok and all that started, you picked one of them apps to download and then that's what you ran with.
Yeah.
And, you know, TikTok ended up being the leading pack.
The bigger one.
And Triller was just what you did some little hood dances to with you and your little sisters or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like the ratchet
now you're watching
version of
Mayweather.
it. Now it's like they're like the premier.
It's like pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view.
It is. It is. It's like streaming pay-per-view. That's
insane.
That's nuts.
That's what they are.
It's crazy how far, with the resources we have with today's technology, how you could take something from off the ground and make it larger than, like, make it massive.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when we was kids, we didn't have those resources. You still could do that, but you had to have a specific talent. You had to be like a star. You had to be like the icon of whatever.
But to like
but
also,
now it's just like you could have a good enough idea and like peep enough markets and like you can strategically like turn nothing into just something massive
idea.
without not too much reach out
behind
or
it.
You didn't know backing.
Yeah.
But go ahead, say what you're going to say. My bad.
What about this? That's all super true, man. But I feel like our generation, like of our age group, is like one of the dopest in like recent times because we were at the beginning, like coming into our like you know early mid-20s when all of this stuff was popping off and going crazy.
Right.
But then we remember
what
like,
reality was.
What the reality was. Like we remember like. If we wanted to watch an Outkast video, we had to watch Green Day. We had to watch Bush, we had to watch all this other shit before we got Outkast or before we got to whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like on MTV. So like we had to watch like programming, like curated programming. Right. Now it's like they have access to more, but they're like way more limited. Like the kids now, they don't know as much because they're not as well rounded because like they can just go to exactly what they want.
Right, and you can you can literally curate your own musical.
And you're just in your world. You and your friends'
me,
world.
when I was a kid, like you say, I had to watch Alanis Morissette,
Smashing
Pumpkins, Nirvana, then the Missy Elliott video come on.
Yeah, then the
Puff Daddy video come on. Or I had to watch Sarah McLachlan. I mean,
it goes on and on.
Right. And it's just
but we know all of this music
right.
because we had to sit through to get what we wanted.
And then subsequently become
liking
fans
it.
of
Started
it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, like that's what I'm
all
saying.
All these people on list, I like them groups.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we came up in a very interesting time period, and our age group is really special.
Yeah, I know every generation thinks they're the best generation, and
a lot's happened in our generation.
But
like actually,
if
technology.
you truly look at it, the technological advances from 1950 to today, just in the past 70 years, have been mind blowing.
Yes.
If you just go back from post World War II to where we've come from segregation to now, which ain't as far as we should be, but
as far as it seems,
in terms of the resources and the things you can do for yourself and the way you can position your own life in today's day, it's night and day from what it was.
I mean, look, you don't have to look from that far back. If you look from 2004 to 2008,
right,
right,
yeah,
like the iPhone, like you know what I'm saying, like
you talking about from Motorola to Sidekick to Nextel Chirp to this to iPhone
to the iPhone,
all within that 4-year span.
4 years,
yeah, truly.
And if you just go back 2 years, you're talking about how we listen to music.
Yeah.
You know, you remember those little MP3s? Like, there was no, the iPod didn't come out in 03.
Yeah.
So if you go back to 02, it was really
the
archaic.
disc player.
That's so crazy.
You know, like, so 6 years.
So yeah, even in the past 13 years, we've got to see, like you say, the end of the reality era, the go outside era, the get chased by dogs era, the play 16 games of basketball era.
Yeah.
To get in the PS2, to get in the N64, to get in, we were old enough to where that hadn't tainted our childhood yet. And screens wasn't the end all be all. And then by the time we're 20, it's like, oh, well, I'm an adult now, and I'm 23. I got an iPhone. It's pretty cool. Like, who knows? Yeah, right. Like, it's pretty cool. I got an iPhone. But, at that time, a 13-year-old also had an iPhone.
Yeah.
And what they consider reality compared to what we do now is
two completely different things.
Two way different things. Like you say, we got to see a full spectrum of life and reality.
Yeah.
And, we can use that to our advantage today. And we can also know that not everything comes easy. I've been working. I had to tally up. I was like, how long have I been working? 20 years. My first job when I was 14. Damn. And it's just like back then, like if you wasn't if you didn't come from a wholesome household where you didn't have to work, if you weren't working, you was 14, like what the fuck was you? You was getting in trouble. Like you didn't have many options. And for me, my options was basketball, football, work. And then I still managed to get in trouble still between all that. But you gotta find, you know what I mean? Like, I was conscious enough at a young age to know, like, that life ain't just about fun or a screen or whatever. Like,
your cell phone, social media.
The options in my life was, okay, after school, you could trap, or you could rob some people, or you go to basketball practice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, well, basketball practice seemed fun because, I can make fun of Gerald. And shout out to Gerald. He'll get a kick out of this episode. I see him all the time. I love that guy, man. That's like my brother for real. But yeah, I don't want to go too far in the weeds. Our generation got to truly see reality, and we get to use that as an advantage for us now because you can't really, you can pull the wool over a lot of people's eyes, unfortunately, these days. But you can't just tell us anything. Because it's like, oh, no, like, I was alive. It's like, hey, actually, I know you think I'm like 21, but like, I was alive in 93. Or I was alive in 94, like, or whatever.
I remember 1995.
Yeah, like,
vividly.
It's like, wait, stop trying to be old ass nigga. Okay. Next clip is me just fighting old man. Here you go, Arbor. You gotta show me fighting an old person. This is my boy Arbor been doing the graphics recently, so trying to step the podcast up. Speaking of podcasts, have you ever done a podcast before?
I've been on one. My boy Marcus, he has one. He went to Westlake. He's a couple years older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the only one. Like, I don't really like doing that. Y'all the homies, like people I grew up with, is fine. But like, I don't. And it's so funny because like people like, Ryan, you should do panels. And I'm like, yo, if I'm not like putting the panel together, I don't want to even talk about a panel. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I was, like I said before, I was a little hesitant to reach out because I'm like, it'd be one thing if I saw you just like on your page, like doing a bunch of different shows. It'd be like, oh yeah, like this guy, shit. But it's like, nah, I can be low key and I don't even know if this is something he want to do. Yeah, but fortunately, like you was very happy to do it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like this is the second podcast I've ever done, and the first one was with somebody that went to Westlake. Yeah. That I grew up with, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's dope, man. I want to finish this by, again, thanking you so much for coming on. You want to tell the people where they can follow you, or you want to promote your web?
I'm only on Instagram, so it's just Ryan _ Has, H-A-S.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Yeah. And, we covered all of the
extensive resume. Oh my God.
Truly impressive. And like I said, it's just so fun to catch up and kill two birds with one stone at the same time because and hopefully this will be hopefully we can hang out more. You see where I live.
We will.
I be grilling, I be having folks over on Sundays at the end of the month sometime. Definitely should invite.
I'm back over here.
We be getting lit over here in Midtown. The neighbors be confused sometimes. Sometimes I be confused when I walk out the door. I be like, bro, you live here? How did you do that?
It's a very quiet block.
It is very quiet.
He lives here? How did he do that?
It's a very quiet block.
ATL scoop. But yeah, of course, you know where to follow me and Joe. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We out.
Ryan, actually, this is the start of my internship with you.
First day.
The first day. Let me get this water bottle.
Bye-bye.